Once you decide, if you're ready to lead a teacher training and it sounds like a great idea, which it is, and it's very fulfilling in a lot of ways, but it is a big commitment. It is 200 hours of time that you are spending with your students in a much deeper capacity than asana classes. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for that. And then when we look at the time and energy and financial commitment involved, we sort of want to know our options. And what ended up happening for us is that I was running a studio. Arina was running other trainings through her children's program. We were both taking care of, our families and living our lives. And it took us about 4 years to fully create and complete the yoga teacher training. So that is a massive time commitment. And at that time, other things were not able to get done. So we have to look at the energetic and financial sacrifices that are involved. Of course, we have a program, the Yoga Trainer Fast Track, where you can license, which saves you a ton of time, but it costs you money. So do you have more time or more money? And in addition to that, how quickly do you want to start your teacher training? All of those concepts and thoughts wrap into this section. So the first one, of course, is we want to make sure that if you are going to spend years creating a program or money buying a program, that you're going to get a good return on either your energy or your financial investment. So, very first question, do you teach classes or do you have a community of people that you can reach out to? Do you have a newsletter? How are you going to communicate to people that you have a yoga teacher training to offer to people? So we like people to think about that. Where are you going to get the students from and what kind of options you have? Another thing we want to look at is, of anybody that you're currently teaching, because if you've been teaching for several years, then you're an experienced yoga teacher. Of the people that you have been teaching, do you think that they are ready for teacher training? If they've been asking to get deeper into the philosophies and the concepts of yoga, they've been asking for workshops or retreats. And I found this at my studio. You can only teach classes for so long before they start asking for teacher training, or they want to go on retreat. And or they're always asking for book recommendations or music. If they're really, really loving the yoga that you're providing, that's a good indication that they might want to learn deeper from you, and that teacher training might be something that they would sign up for. So we like to think about that there. Who are you going to promote to? Are they ready to move into that step? And another key indicator that your students are ready for yoga teacher training and can help you decide if it's time for you to offer it is when you start watching your students go to other studios, right? And it's really heartbreaking. I've had this experience myself where I've been somebody's yoga teacher for many, many years, and you fairly deeply connected, to these people. You have deep, meaningful conversations before or after yoga class, and then you watch them take their business and their guidance from somebody else, because you didn't have a training ready to offer. So if your students that you are teaching are taking yoga teacher training elsewhere, the question is, if I had a yoga teacher training to offer, would they take it with me? And probably. They're already your students. They want you to continue to be their teacher. That's a good indication that it is worth either the time or the money. If you're watching them go somewhere else, you have to ask yourself, how much time do I really have to creating a program? And maybe purchasing one is the quicker option, but all for your consideration. And then the other thing is just ask your students if they are ready. Like, literally ask them, hey, I'm going to offer yoga teacher training in the fall or in the spring or in the new year. Is that something you would be interested in? And just get a gauge whether they're interested or not. I will share, as a studio owner, that getting a gauge of interest is much different than getting a down payment and an actual deposit on teacher training. They're two different things. But getting a gauge, if your students are saying, yeah, maybe, I don't know, then you think, okay, I've got more time to create something. They're not urgent for it. If they're saying, oh yes, when's it starting? Sign me up, send me the link. You think, okay, I need to get on this. And then this is one that yoga people and teachers sometimes struggle with, the pricing. How do I price a yoga teacher training? And if I were to purchase one as opposed to write one, how much, what would my return on investment be? Or if I were to write one on my own, how much time would that take, and how much money am I losing because my students are ready now? So things we like people to consider and think about before doing all the work is look around to your community and any yoga studios that exists or yoga businesses. What are they charging for yoga teacher training? And then another sort of part two to that is what we've seen happen in the last few years is yoga teacher trainings moving online at a self-paced level at a very low cost. That is fine, but the quality that you might be teaching if you're offering more of your teacher training in person cannot be compared to a self-paced training. So if you're looking around saying, okay, this studio is charging this amount of money, but there's this online course that's self-paced that's offering teacher training for a vastly different amount of money, we kind of want to keep those two separate for now. Once you figure out what your top three sort of local competitors are charging, then you can think about an average cost for yourself and what you feel within your own value system in your own community, what you feel is the best price for you. You'll have an idea in mind of what you would charge for teacher training. Then we go back up to question two. Okay, this is how much I'm going to charge for teacher training. Let's multiply that by the number of students I think I might get. And then we figure out how much potential income YTT might generate. When you know that, you can figure out again, am I going to take the time to write the teacher training myself? And that's a potential loss of income if it's going to take 2 or 3 years. Versus, am I going to, license one or purchase one now, or really, really hustle to get one written now? Because of the potential income that you don't want to lose. So the time and the money and the potential income versus lost income, they all really do go together in trying to figure out how and when to offer yoga teacher training once you've decided that, yes, that's the direction that you're going to go. But you do want to put value on your time. It's hard, right? Yoga teachers always say it's not about the money, but it has to be. And I always said, for my students, if I want to stay on par with best practices and up to date with yoga concepts and anatomy concepts, if you want me to stay on par with that, I really have to dedicate myself as a full-time yoga teacher to be a trainer at this level. Mm-hmm. If you want me to be a trainer at this level full-time, somebody's got to pay for that. So the teacher training has to come in at a certain price point.
Claire, we have that example I wanted to share of one of our recent people who use the trainer fast track. So her first training was in-person training, 160 hours in person and 40 hours pre-recorded training. And that we already have pre-recorded, but you could pre-record your own training as well. So she had 6 students, which is not huge, but it's good. But they wanted to take a live training with their teacher. She charged $3,200 US. She's in the States. This is what her income was using the fast, like our program. So there are costs that were involved. So we subtracted all these costs plus your Yoga Alliance application fee, because she registered with Yoga Alliance, the license fee for the 40 hours of training, and then the Yoga Alliance dues. So the first time you register your school with Yoga Alliance, $640 total. But what she said was that if she had waited a year to write the training herself, then that would have just been time spent for her. But instead, during that year, she made $13,560 offering the training. And then for future years, like a lot of these are one-time costs that then get deducted. So even if she just ran a training with 6 people once a year, which we have a lot of trainers who do more, but we have quite a few trainers who just do small trainings like that. That still creates an income stream of 13,000. The second year, so over $17,000 can be added to your income stream. And it's really helpful as a yoga teacher to have multiple streams of income. So not just one studio or one class, but different classes, that if you lose one, you don't lose your whole business. And offering the training really creates a nice income stream. So for her, she was like, I knew I would never write a training. Like, I don't even think she had a discovery call with us. She was like, she wasn't going to write one. She was too busy. She was running a studio. And so for her, it was just like, okay, now I've just added this new income stream by having training. If you can write your own training, then you'll make even more than that. But you might also lose money waiting to write your training. So that's what we want people to, I'm going to stop the share here, to balance out and kind of like put the business hat on every once in a while, rather than the yoga mat under us. And occasionally we put the business hat back on again.